Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about GCE level math with equation and inequalities, and I will be going through some of the concepts first, and then we will start practice with some questions together. Okay, so before I start off talking about the concepts, I have to tell you guys that this topic is actually not as hard as you think. The reason is because chapter 3 and chapter 2 are somehow slightly similar, I think. So okay, let's go through the summary key points. I think all you have to know is part 4 and part 7, part 8, and part 9. And what this is about is for the part 8, y smaller than f of x represent the point like below that curve, and if it is greater than f of x, then all the coordinates will be above the curve. That's pretty straightforward. And for the part 9, always remember that you have to distinguish the dot line and solid line. What is dot line? Something like this. And solid line is something like this. Okay, and always need to make a clear understanding of what these two are. Okay, so let's do some questions together now. Okay, this time I'm gonna go straight to the past paper questions because I feel like there are not many review exercise questions in the textbook. So let's start off with the past paper question 1. This question here is actually from a C1 module, May 2016, question 5. Okay, let's start off with the first step. So y plus 4x plus 1 equals to 0, and the second equation is y squared plus 5x squared plus 2x equals to 0. Okay, so all we know is when I try to move this thing here from the left to the right, y would be equals to minus 4x minus 1. Okay, so if I substitute the y, this equation here, down to this equation here, then I will get minus 4x minus 1 square plus 5x square plus 5x, 2x I mean, sorry, equals to 0. So what I get is 16x squared, because minus 4x times minus 4x will be 16x squared, minus 4x times minus 1 will be 4 plus 4x, and minus 1 times minus 4x will be plus 4x, minus 1 squared will be plus 1, plus 5x squared plus 2x equals to 0. Okay, so the next step would be 16x squared plus 5x squared would be 21x squared, and 4x plus 4x plus 2x would be equals to 10x, and plus 1 equals to 0. And what we can do now is to find the critical value of this equation, okay? And we know that this equation can be written as this form: 7x plus 1 brackets 3x plus 1 brackets equals to 0. Therefore, the critical value of x will be equals to minus 1 over 3 or minus 1 over 7. Okay, to get the critical value, there's actually another way. If you have a calculator, if you use the calculator, you can actually also find the critical value in a simple way. So how can I know the critical value of x is equals to minus 1 over 3 or minus 1 over 7? That's actually a simple way. When you press alpha and mode, then you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Just press 5 equation, and you have 4 more options to select, and then just press 3 base, and then just plug all ABC values in there. Let's say 21 for A, and 10 for B, and 1 for C, and you'll eventually get the critical value straight away. Minus 1 over 7 and equal, just press equal button, and minus 1 over 3, and this is how you get the critical value in the calculator. Okay, this is the value of x, and now we have to find the y. So when x is equals to minus 1 over 3, then y would be equals to, if I substitute the x value here, this one, or either minus 1 over 3 or minus 1 over 7 into this equation here, I will get minus 4 times minus 1 over 3 minus 1, which would be 1 over 3. And when I put x equals to minus 1 over 7, then y would be minus 4 times 1 over 7, minus 1 over 7, sorry. Minus 1 would be equals to minus 3 over 7. Therefore, the coordinate would be when x is equals to minus 1 over 3, then y would be equals to minus 1 over 7. And the other point would be when x is equals to minus 1 over 7, then the y would be minus 3 over 7. And here would be the answer. So 1 mark for the substitution, 1 mark for the working, 1 mark I guess is for the critical value, and 1 mark is finding the y value. Okay, let's move on to the next questions. In these questions, they want us to find the answer to get the answer x, and they want us to find it in the form of a root b. Okay, so first thing first, all we know is 10 plus x root 8 equals to 6x over root 2. And the next step would be separate the root 8 into root 2 times root 4. So 10 plus x root 2 times root 4 equals to 6x over root 2 times root 2 times over root 2. And the first step would be root 2 will be equals to 2. So 10 plus 2 root 2x equals to 6 root 2x over root 2 times root 2 will be equals to 2. And actually 6 divided by 2 will be equals to 3. So it would be equals to 3 root 2x. And next step would be 10 equals to 3 root 2x minus 2 root 2x would be equals to 1 root 2x. Therefore, x would be equals to 10 over root 2. But they want me to give the answer to be written in form of a root b. So I have to do is to times the numerator and the denominator by root 2 over root 2 equals 10 root 2 over 2 will be equals to 5 root 2. And that would be the final answer. So 1 mark for the method, 1 mark for the working, and another mark for cleaning the answer up, and 1 mark for the correct final answer. Okay, let's carry on with question 3. For the part A, 2 times 3x plus 4 bracket is greater than 1 minus x. So first step we have to know is 6x plus 4 times 2 would be 8 and greater than 1 minus 4. It's actually pretty straightforward. So 6x plus x would be 7x greater than 1 minus 8 would be minus 7. So x would be greater than minus 1. And guys, always remember that let's say 7x greater than minus 7, then you will know that you don't have to change the direction of this arrow. But if you see something look like this, okay, this is not in the questions, I just try to make some concept clear. If you see something look like this, then x would be smaller than minus 7 over minus 7. The reason is because the denominator here is minus 7. So x would be smaller than 1. So you can double check the answer by substitute any number that is smaller than 1 into it. Let's say 0. If you put 0, 0 times negative 7 would be 0, which would be greater than minus 7. So you can double check to see whether the direction of your arrow is right or not. And same as this question, you can see this arrow, x is greater than minus 1. You can put any number that is greater than 1, let's say 0, okay? If you put 0 into 7, 7 times 0 is equals to 0, which is greater than minus 7. So this arrow here is actually right. And yeah, I just want to try to make the concept clear. Okay, for the part B, 3x squared plus 8x minus 3 is smaller than 0. Okay, this is how you get the critical value straight away. Or if you are well practiced enough, you can spot that this equation here can be written as 3x minus 1 brackets times x plus 3, which is smaller than 1. But the other way is you can actually use the calculator to find the critical value straight away. alpha mode, and you can see all the options here. Just press 5 equation here, equation, and just press 3, and just plug all the number that you can see in the equation. Let's say first one here is 3 and 8 for part B, for the B, and -3 for the C, and you can straight away get the critical value, which is 1/3 and -3. So the critical value of x is equals to -1/3 or -3. So I'm gonna draw a line, okay? The smaller number will be on the left and the greater number will be on the right. So -3 and 1/3. Okay, so next step I have to do is to find the correct sign between the gap, okay, between the dots. Let's say if I substitute any number that is between -3 and 1/3. Let's say 0. Okay, 0 is somewhere between here. If I put 0 into this equation, I will get a negative value because 3 times 0 equals to 0, plus 8 times 0, which is also 0. So 0 plus 0 minus 3 will be -3. And -3 is actually a negative sign. And if I put any number that is greater than 1/3, let's say 1, okay? If I put 1 into x, 1 square would be 1, times 3 would be 3, plus 8 times 1 would be 8, and 8 plus 3 would be 11. 11 minus 3 would be equals to 8. Okay, so 8 is a positive number, right? So I will just put a positive sign here. And if I put any number that is smaller than -3, let's say -5. If I put -5 into x, -5 squared would be 25. 25 times 3 would be equals to 75. And 75 plus 8 times -5, which is 35. And 35 minus 3 would be 32. So 32 is also a positive sign. So I will just put positive here. Okay, back to getting the sets of value of x. Okay, this is also the final. Okay, all we have to know is the equation here with the x value has to be smaller than 0. What does that mean? So all the number that would be only accepted is negative number. So which is the area between here. So the final answer would be -3 smaller than x, and x would be smaller than 1/3, and that would be the final answer for part B. So let's go to the marking. For part A, there's only 2 marks, so I guess 1 mark is for the working and 1 mark for the final. And for the part B, it carries 4 marks, so I guess 1 mark is for the method marks, and 1 mark is for getting the critical value right, and 1 mark is for the range, and 1 mark for cleaning up the final answer. Okay, to question 4. This question is actually from C1 module, May 2014, question 3. Okay, let's start off with part A, 3x minus 7 greater than 3 minus x. Okay, so next step would be, I'm gonna move all the value with x to the left, and all the value without the x with it, I will move it to the right. So 3x plus 1 would be, 3x plus x would be 4x. Greater than 3 plus 7 would be 10. The final answer would be greater than 10 over 4, and which is x greater than 2.5. And also remember, guys, if the value here sticking with the x is negative, then the arrow here has to change the direction. I'll always remember that. But if this one is positive, then this arrow can stay the same. Okay, so for the part B, x squared minus 9x is smaller or equals to 36. So I'm gonna just move this thing to the left. So x squared minus 4x minus 36 is equals or smaller than 0. Okay, so same way here. If I want to get a critical angle straight away, or if you are smart enough to spot that this equation can actually be written as x minus 12 brackets x plus 3. But if you are using calculator, you can actually, all you have to do is to press alpha mode and equation and press 3. A would be 1, B would be -9, and the C would be -36. So you can get the critical value straight away, which is 12 and -3. So the critical value of x would be equals to 12 or -3. And let's do the line. The smaller number will be on the left, greater will be on the right. -3 and 12. Next step for us is to find the sign between the dots. So if we substitute value 0, 0 will be -36, which would be negative sign. So I will just put negative sign here. Any value that is greater than 12, let's say 15, okay? Then you will get the value of 54, which would be positive sign. And if I put any number that is smaller than -3, let's say -5, okay? -5 would be smaller than -3. Then I will get the value of 34, which would be positive sign. So I will write positive sign here. And the questions want us to get all the set of value that is smaller or equals to 0. Okay, so if they want us to find smaller or equal, then our arrow should be either smaller or equal or greater than equal, because this one is already smaller or equal. So which will be the area between -3 to 12. So the answer would be -3 smaller or equals to x, and x will be smaller or equals to 12. And this one will be the final answer for part B. And for part C, 1 mark. Okay, so they want us to find a solution for both, for part A equation and part B equation. Okay, so for the part A equation, we know the range, okay, 2.5. Part A, I'm gonna make this clear. Okay, 2.5, and the x is greater than 2.5, which means, okay, if this one is just greater, then I will just make a circle. But if this is greater or equals to, then I will fill the dots. Okay, so which be greater than 2.5. Okay, so for the part B, we know that the area would be between -3 smaller or equals to x, and x will be smaller or equals to 12. So would be somewhere between like this. This one is -3 and 12, and smaller or equal, so I will fill the dots, and greater or equals to x, so I'll fill the dot as well. Okay, so 2.5 would be between the range -3 and 12. So 2.5 should be somewhere right here, dots, and greater than 2.5, which means that in this area here. And for the part B area is somewhere right here. So the only area that overlap is 2.5 smaller than x and smaller or equals to 12, because we only want this area here. Only this area is overlapping two solutions. So that would be the answer. So for the part A, 1 mark for the working, I guess, and 1 mark for the final accurate answer. For the part B, it says carry 4 marks. So 1 mark for the method, 1 mark for getting the critical value, 1 mark for the working, and 1 mark for the final range. For the part C, just 1 mark. So if you get this right, then you get the 1 mark. If you don't get it right, then you'll probably lose the 1 mark.